synthesize the lymphocytes, right? Lymphocytes are those cells that fight the antigens or produces antibodies that way. Now, lymphoid organs, they are like two lymphoid organs present in our body. There is two kinds, primary lymphoid organs and secondary lymphoid organs. Now, when we talk about the primary one, so if anything is primary, then we already know that it has a major role to perform, isn't it? So, the primary lymphoid organs are those where the immature lymphocytes differentiate into antigen specific lymphocytes, meaning the lymphocytes that are immature, that are not able to perform any kind of protection for the body, they get differentiated, meaning they sort of change and become, like you can say, useful, and they become into antigen specific lymphocytes. The example for the primary lymphoid organs in our body, bone marrow and thymus. Now, talking about the bone marrow, so the bone marrow is the main lymphoid organ of our body where every single blood cell is made and also the lymphocytes are produced. That is why it is very important, right? And this is where the B lymphocytes mature. Always remember this one point, that the B lymphocytes, the place where they mature is the bone marrow. So they mature in the bone marrow. Now, after that comes the thymus. Now, thymus, it is another structure in our body which is a lobe organ, lobe-shaped organ. And where is it present? So, it is present right underneath the breastbone, right? The chest bone, the upper part, and it is present very near to the heart. Now, what is it like? What does it do? It is the site of maturation of T lymphocyte. So in our body, we know that there are two kinds of lymphocytes present, B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes. The B lymphocytes, they are matured in the bone marrow, whereas the T lymphocytes, they are matured in the thymus. Always remember the B with B, right? Bone marrow, B lymphocyte. T with T. Thymus with T lymphocyte. So this is where they get matured. Matured meaning they get ready to function the way they are supposed. Now, the most unique fact about thymus is that the size of the thymus when we are born is quite large. And as we start to age, like our age is like when we grow and up until the point where we hit puberty. So the size of the thymus, it starts decreasing with age. And once a person has hit the puberty stage of his or her life, then the thymus is already in a very small size. Okay, this is what happens to thymus. Now talking about the secondary lymphoid organs. See, after the B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes, they have proliferated, or sort of you can say matured, and proper maturation of the B and the T lymphocytes happen. Then they migrate to the secondary lymphoid organs. And in the secondary lymphoid organ, what happens? They proliferate and they differentiate to become effector cells. Meaning here, sort of imagine that they get the proper, you can say, functioning aspect over here in the case of secondary lymphoid organ. So this is what happens. Any doubts up until now? So the proliferation and differentiation to become effector cells after maturation. Okay, so after maturation of B and T lymphocytes. So now we know where the B and T lymphocytes are being made, right? Where they are being matured. And after they are matured, they migrate. They move to the secondary lymphoid organ. And after moving to the secondary lymphoid organ, what do? They start proliferating, meaning divided into much more numbers and to form sort of like an army. Just imagine it as being the army. Okay. Now, after that, what happens is that the secondary lymphoid organ, we have to see what are the examples of secondary lymphoid organs in our body, right? So, example of secondary lymphoid organs. Now, in our body, there are variety of secondary lymphoid organs. The first one, have you people heard about spleen? Have you heard about spleen? So spleen is a secondary lymphoid organ. Apart from that, the lymph nodes. You might have studied about lymph in body fluids and circulation in class 11. So lymph nodes are present in the lymphatic system. That is also a secondary lymphoid organ. Apart from that, the tonsils that are present, they are also the secondary lymphoid organs. And the appendix, that is also a secondary lymphoid organ. So these are the various examples of secondary lymphoid organs. Now, apart from that, talking about some of the secondary lymphoid organs, so we have the spleen. Now see, spleen is important to remember. Why? Because have you people heard about RBC? What is RBC? Red blood cells, right? And the RBC, they have a certain lifespan, right? After the lifespan of RBC is completed, right? So it goes to the spleen, meaning after the RBC is no more needed, meaning it has completed its life cycle, meaning it is dead now, it will go into the spleen. So many a times the spleen is called as the graveyard of RBC. The graveyard of RBC because it contains RBC after the RBC is of no use. Okay, and apart from that, it acts like a filter. It acts like a filter. What, like if it is acting like a filter, then it must be catching something, isn't it? So it acts like a filter and traps the blood bone, microorganism. So it is sort of acting like a filter in our body. Any doubts in spleen? Also, after the spleen is done, we'll also talk about the lymph nodes because it is one of the very commonly appearing secondary lymphoid tissues. Now see, they are present in the lymphatic system. They are like tiny, like dot-like structures present all over the lymphatic systems. Now what they do is that they trap the microorganism for the first thing. Apart from that, they also trap the antigens. Like whatever foreign material is present, they also trap that. So lymph nodes, they are small solid structures. They are small solid structures located in the lymphatic system. So located in our lymphatic system. Lymphatic system. Now talking about the function of the lymph node. So it traps the microorganism just like how the spleen is doing. So it traps the microorganisms. And apart from trapping the microorganisms, it also traps the antigens, which are present in the lymph. So you people might remember lymph like the colorless fluid which is present in our body, right? The colorless tissue fluid, lymph. So whatever microorganisms and antigens which are present in the lymph, it gets trapped by the lymph nodes. So again, it is like present at several locations. And what does it do? It acts like a filter. So this much is clear to you all. The lymphoid organs, primary and secondary, both of them are clear. Okay. Now there is one thing that you people should know the full form of, and that is MALT. M-A-L-T. It stands for mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. MALT stands for mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. Now what is so special about it? See, this particular tissue, it contains 50% of the lymphoid tissue in the human body. 50%, imagine that big of a contribution. So, and where is it present? See, this is the type of tissue which is present in the major tracts of our body, like respiratory tract has it, then digestive tract has it, urinogenital tract has it, right? Urinogenital. So all of these places, these marl tissue, you people understand, it will be present as a layer. So what will it do? It will constitute 50% of the lymphoid tissue. So we can say that it is the lymphoid tissue. It is the lymphoid tissue within the lining, within the lining of major tracts like respiratory tract, meaning the whole entire passage. Okay, not just one particular place, the whole entire passage. So respiratory tract, then there is also digestive tract and urinogenital tract. It is present mostly in these areas. And what is so special, this question was asked in NEET also. So what is so special about the mud? That it constitutes, like this was, I think it was asked in maths the following, like long time back. So this constitutes about, how many of you are going to take the NEET examination after 12th? You're going to do, Siddhika? What about you, Yaya? Will you be doing? No, why? Is there any specific reason you don't want to become a doctor? I can't hear you.
I can't do medicine in India, ma'am. It's very hard.
Yeah, it is. But if you score good, then you can.
I'm not that sure myself.
No, but no one is that good. But you just have to practice, isn't it? Okay. So what are you going to do after your 12th is over?
I'm planning on studying here. My brother's also studying here. So they
Like
will.
which course?
Medicine.
Medical only. Okay, okay. So you are going to go into the medical field, but not just like Indian one, right? All right. Okay. All right. So it constitutes about 50% of the lymphoid tissue in human body. So the lymph part is clear to you all? All right. Okay, very good. Now you people can note it down and then we'll move on to the disease part now.
Done, ma'am.
Yes, everyone's done.
No, ma'am, 1 minute.
Okay, okay.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done. Yes, everyone's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Yes, everyone's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Done, ma'am.
Everyone's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Yes, everyone is done. Okay, the last line is left. You write that also.
Done, ma'am.
Yes, done everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. So with this, we have actually completed the whole entire cells that are helping in the immunity part and the whole entire immunity part, right? Now, what is left in this particular chapter? We have the two diseases that you people have to study. You have to study AIDS and you have to study cancer. So right now we're going to start with AIDS. Just give me 1 second. People able to see the screen? So we are going to start with AIDS. Now see, the AIDS is a very theoretical topic. So we're going to see each and everything about it in the PDF, and the notes I'll provide you tomorrow. All right, you can switch back your videos on. All right. So AIDS. Now, the first thing that you people must know is the full form for AIDS. So, AIDS. AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. It is a syndrome. Now, see, the word syndrome means a lot of symptoms together, right? And remember that AIDS is the deficiency of our immune system. So, whoever is the person infected, or you can say affected with the AIDS disease, that person has a very compromised immune system, meaning his or her immune system does not work at all. Now, this is an acquired disease because of there are multiple reasons why a person could have AIDS, but this means deficiency of immune system acquired during the lifetime of the individual, indicating that it is not a congenital disease. Meaning, if any person has AIDS, then he or she might have gotten it in at any point in his or her lifetime. Okay, and it is not a congenital disease, meaning no one is born with AIDS naturally, right? A person develops it. But you people must also remember that if a pregnant female is there and the baby that she is carrying, okay, so if the female is AIDS positive, HIV positive, then she might transfer the virus to the baby also. Okay, it can pass through the like the placenta to the baby. Now, so it is not a congenital disease as such. Now, the word syndrome, it means that a group of symptoms. It is not just one thing. AIDS is not just one thing. There are multiple things. And it is such a bizarre thing when I'll tell you about AIDS. I'll tell you later on. But it is a very, you can say, weird and a very creepy thing, as in one. Let's, like, we'll understand it better. Like, whoever has AIDS, that person does not die because of AIDS. That person dies because of some other disease. Why? Because during this disease, the person has such a compromised immune system that they cannot even fight simple pathogens. Now, AIDS was reported in the year 1981, and in the last 25 years or so, it has spread over the world, killing more than 25 million persons. So, it was discovered in 1981, and from then till up until now, it has been killing millions of people in the world. Now, AIDS is caused by the virus that is HIV virus. It is human immunodeficiency virus. It lies in the name, isn't it? Immunodeficiency, meaning it is making your immune system, your immunity deficient. Now, this virus is a member of a group of virus called as retrovirus. Now, retrovirus is that group of a virus that has RNA as the genetic material, and it has a very particular enzyme. We're going to talk about it. It is known as reverse transcriptase. Now, tell me, how many of you remember central dogma of molecular biology? Hmm? You remember? And how many of you remember reverse central dogma? What happens? Yeah, tell me what happens in reverse central dogma?
Is a synthesis of DNA from RNA because there's an enzyme present known as reverse transcription.
Very good. Exactly. And these viruses, they have that enzyme, meaning they can synthesize DNA from their RNA. So even if they have just RNA in their genome, in their genetic material, they can synthesize DNA whenever they need to. Now, the transmission of HIV infection generally occurs by, now there are multiple ways through which this HIV can enter the human body. The first is sexual contact with infected person. If a person is infected and he has HIV virus in his or her body, then if sexual contact is made with that infected person, this virus can come in the body. Second, by transfusion of contaminated blood and blood products. For example, a person like went to the hospital and that person required blood transfusion, right? Blood was less in the body. So if that blood that has been, transfused into the patient, if that blood has HIV, even one virus particle, then the person, the healthy person who's getting the blood transfusion will have the HIV virus in the body. The third is by sharing needles. Now, there are many people that are drug abusers, right? You might have seen in movie scenes and stuff. They take injections to inject the drugs into their skin. You might have seen it any series or movies. So, what they do is that since they're doing something that is so illegal, they don't have enough money, right? They steal from here and there and they steal the drugs and the injections. Now, there is a group of people that do it, right? For example, 4 to 5 people are sitting together and they are abusing a kind of drug. So the needle that they're using to inject it into their skin, they like one person did it, and then another person took that needle and another person did it. So isn't it being contaminated? Like the blood traces might be present on the needle, and then that needle is going inside the body of another person. So if any one of the drug abuser is HIV positive, then the other non-HIV positive drug abusers may now also turn HIV positive. Clear? So drug abusers which share the infected needles. That is why you people might have noticed that after, like in a blood camp, right, when people get their blood tests done, so after the blood test is done, the doctor or the compounder or the person who's doing it, they break the needle and throw it away. Have you ever noticed it? They break the needle, like there is a box, they put it in and then they twist it so that the needle gets broken, so that it can't be reused. This is the reason. Because blood contamination, like if a person is getting any disease on the skin, you can stop it, right? You can put some medicines onto it and you can stop it. But if something mixes with the blood, how will it be stopped? Like the moment it enters here, it will reach the whole entire body. It will be circulated. No one can stop that. After that, the fourth way by which the HIV infection can be transmitted is from the infected mother to her child through the placenta during the pregnancy. So people who are at high risk of getting this infection includes individuals who have multiple sexual partners. The first one, like the people that, like have multiple sexual partners. Then the drug addicts who take drugs through the injections, meaning through intravenously, and also the people that undergo blood transfusion, right? Khoon chadhana, right? If the person undergoes that repeatedly, then there might be a chance. If the hospital is not checking the person who's donating the blood, right? The blood needs to be checked. Also, the child who is born to an HIV infected mother may have chances of getting HIV positive. Now, it is important to note that the HIV virus or this disease AIDS is not spread by touch or physical contact. It only spreads through body fluids, right? So if a person has AIDS, AIDS is a very deadly disease. If a person has AIDS, then it is 100% that that person will die. No other option is there. That person dies. Okay, because there is no cure for AIDS. So, if a person has AIDS, then the rest of the people that are healthy, they think that, oh, that person has a very gruesome disease. Then let's not go near that person. But this is not to be done, because this disease is not spread by touch or any, like if that person hugs you, if that person does anything of that sort, it won't be spread. But always remember that this particular disease is spread through body fluids such as semen, right? Semen, blood, all of these things. Now, uh, it is hence imperative for the physical and psychological well-being that the HIV or AIDS infected person are not isolated from family and society. Like they shouldn't be isolated, because they already know that they're going to die. And if they know that, okay, people are now boycotting us, then they'll die sooner. So one should not do that. Now see, the most unique thing about this particular virus is that once the virus gets inside the body, it starts multiplying a lot. Like thousands and thousands of virus particles will be made. But even after thousands and thousands of viral particles are made, still symptoms are not like seen in the person. It's not shown, right? So there is a time lag. A person may have a lot of virus in his or her body, but there will be no symptoms. So a person will not know that he or she has any disease. So they will not get checked. So there is always a time lag between the infection and the appearance of AIDS symptoms. And what is this time lag? Imagine 5 to 10 years. After 10 years, a person knows that, okay, they have HIV in their body. Imagine the panic, isn't it? Now, by that time, the virus would have been in millions of numbers in the body, isn't it? Now, so let us see how the HIV virus works. Now, see, HIV virus is a very smart virus. We're going to see how. See, after getting inside the body, what happens is that this particular virus, what it does is that it enters into the macrophages, right? One of the cells that are present in the blood. Now, here, the RNA genome of the virus replicates to form viral DNA. So, with the help of the enzyme reverse transcriptase, the virus RNA forms the virus DNA. So, it forms DNA from the RNA, because they know that they are inside the body of humans, and humans don't have RNA as genetic material. They have DNA as genetic material, right? Now, then this viral DNA gets incorporated into host cells' DNA and directs the infected cells to produce virus particles. Now they will go inside the macrophage and cause or make the macrophage to produce more and more virus. Imagine, they are tricking our body to make more virus. So we are doing it. Now the macrophages, they continue to produce virus, and in this way acts like a HIV factory. So imagine, the virus came inside the body, attacked the macrophages. Then they change their RNA to viral DNA, and then they get associated with our DNA. and makes our cell synthesize viral cells or virus DNA more and more. So simultaneously, HIV enters into helper T cells. You people remember T lymphocytes? And then they replicate and produce progeny viruses. So basically, the plan of action is that they are entering our body, and with the like they're making our body synthesize more and more viruses for them. Clear? Any doubts up until now? Now, the progeny viruses means the new viruses that are formed, they start attacking the T lymphocytes. Now they will start attack. They get released into the blood and they attack the other T lymphocyte. Now, since the lymphocytes are being attacked and there are thousands and thousands of viral particles in the cell, so the number of T lymphocytes will decrease. And if the number of T lymphocytes will decrease, then the person's immunity will also be decreased, isn't it? Now, during this time wherein the T lymphocytes are being attacked and their numbers are decreasing, the person starts to suffer from some symptoms like fever, diarrhea, and weight loss. The very common symptoms, like not so big symptoms, isn't it? Now, due to the decrease in the number of helper T lymphocytes, the person starts suffering from infections that could have been otherwise overcame, such as those due to bacteria, especially mycobacterium, viruses, fungi, and even parasites like toxoplasma. Like normally, on a day-to-day basis, we come in contact with so many contaminants, right? We go out of the house, you never know what kind of bacteria is present around you. You can never tell that because you cannot see it, right? But do we fall ill daily? No. Why? Because our immune system fights that. Even if we have any bacteria in our body, we eat like the food from outside. Maybe that has some kind of salmonella, some kind of bacteria, right, present on it. So our immune system fights it, because of which we don't get the disease. But sometimes when our immune system goes weak, we get the disease. But here the whole entire immune system is compromised, so any kind of pathogen, whether it is a mycobacterium, virus, fungi, they start getting that affected with that disease. Now, the patient who has this becomes so immunodeficient that he or she is unable to protect him or herself against these infections. So now they can't protect against very simple viral infections or bacterial infections. Clear? Any doubts up until now? The whole entire mode of action of AIDS, how the things happen and everything is clear to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Now moving forward. Just like how viral test was for typhoid, same way there is a test for AIDS also, diagnostic test, which is known as ELISA. That is enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. It is important to remember the full form of it. Okay. Now, the treatment of AIDS with antiretroviral drugs is only partially effective. They can only prolong the life of the patient but cannot prevent death, which is inevitable. What happens is that these, like, you can't kill viruses. Okay, you can't kill it. And especially for HIV virus, the antiretroviral drugs are there. There are certain medicines. A person takes that medicine, but it is only partially effective because the whole entire immune system has been so compromised that it can't protect us now anymore. It's like way too gone. So the death is definitely written for that person. Actually, death is written for everyone, but for that person it is like sure, like the person is going to die from that particular disease. But the drugs that are used, they can prolong the life, meaning they can help the person to live a little longer, but they eventually have to die. Now, the prevention of AIDS. Since AIDS have no cure, this disease has no cure at all, right? So maybe you people will turn into scientists one day and find the cure for AIDS. You never know. I'll be like, okay, I knew Yaya, he found the cure of AIDS. I'll say, I know Siddhika, she found the cure of AIDS. Maybe you never know. You people will do that. Huh? Can I hope that from you? Okay. Now, so AIDS has no cure. Prevention is the best option. Like a person should prevent AIDS from happening, obviously. Moreover, HIV infection more often spreads due to conscious behavior patterns. And it's not something that happens inadvertently, meaning you know that doing those malicious activities, having sexual multiple partners is wrong. A person knows that. In spite of that, a person does it. So it happens due to conscious behavior. A person is indulging into the bad things. So bad things always result have bad results only, right? So AIDS is not, oh, by chance someone had AIDS. No, it's not. A person does it consciously. So apart from that, like pneumonia and typhoid, you can't know when you'll have it, right? You don't know whether the food has it or not, or something like that. So AIDS is a very uh, AIDS is caused by a very conscious behavior, so a person must prevent it. Now, of course, infection in blood transfusion patients, newborn may take place due to poor monitoring, right? If a female who is pregnant has AIDS, then she should have the proper medicines and everything to protect the child, isn't it? To protect the child from having HIV. Now, this is not 100% necessary that if a mother is HIV positive, then the baby also has to be. No, it's not necessary. There are many cases wherein the mother was HIV positive, but the fetus, the baby that was born, was negative. So it doesn't matter, but many a times there is a possibility. So, yeah, so in this case, okay, a person can understand. You never know, you can't control these situations, right? Now, the only excuse may be ignorance, and it has been rightly said, don't die of ignorance. So, a person should be very careful. Now, in our country, there is NACO, that is National AIDS Control Organization. And then there are other non governmental organizations, they are educating people. The only thing that you can do here is create awareness, tell people what is right, what is wrong. Apart from that, there's nothing that can be done. So WHO, that is World Health Organization, also started a number of programs to prevent the spreading of HIV infection, making blood banks. Now, if a person is donating blood, then what can the hospitals do? They must check the person if he or she does not have this virus. Then only they donate the blood, take the donated blood. Apart from that, they should, like, every hospital should use disposable needles, syringe in public and private hospitals and even in the clinics. Then there should be free distribution of condoms. So if a person is having a sexual act with anyone, if a person wears the protection, then you people must remember that it protects the person from the STDs, right? You have studied about it. It is a barrier, isn't it? Apart from that, drug abuse must be controlled. Then safe sex advocation, meaning a person should know what is a safe sex, meaning the wearing of protection and everything. Also, if a person suspects that he might have the virus or uh, anything of that sort, so a regular checkup must be done. Now, infection with HIV or having AIDS is something that should not be hidden, since then the infection may spread to many more people, isn't it? So it should be dealt with properly, and unless society recognizes it as a problem to be dealt with, the mainly if a person, if you also, it's like any one of us also hears that someone has AIDS, we'll think the bad thing only, right? Will you ever think that maybe the person got wrong blood transfusion? Will you ever think that? Will it ever come to your mind that person got wrong blood, or the person maybe got affected by the mother? No, only one thing will come to our mind, that is the sexual act with multiple partners, isn't it? That is the only thing that is going to come to our mind. So this is the reason why those people that have AIDS, they do not tell it, or they do not get checked up regularly, so that they don't get, you can say, criticized by the society, right? There can be many reasons, but the most common reason we all know, right? So that is why. So this is like a country, you can say a collective effort of the society as well as every individual. So this is all there is to know about the AIDS. Any doubts? See, this is the diagram. So this is a virus. Virus has RNA genome. You people understand the meaning of genome? What is genome? The genetic material, not the gene, the genetic material, right? RNA is the genetic material. So once there, this whole box is the animal cell. So the virus, once it comes inside, it sends the viral RNA into our cell. Okay, this is viral RNA. Now, with the help of reverse transcriptase, it will make viral DNA. And this viral DNA will come inside our cell, our macrophage. Then our macrophage will not understand and it will start synthesizing more and more virus particles. So this is what happens, and then the virus particle attacks our T lymphocytes and makes the immune system very weak. So this is all there is to know about AIDS. Now you people tell me if there is anything that you did not understand, anything that troubled you, say. Hmm? Everything is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we start cancer?
Hmm?
Can we start cancer?
Can we start cancer? Sure. Excited about cancer?
Yes.
Yeah, cancer is also very exciting, or you can say interesting to learn. Now, see, cancer, like apart from all of the diseases that people die of, cancer is one of the most common cause of the death of the people, right? More than 1 million Indians suffer from cancer, and a large number of them die from it annually every year. Now, the mechanisms that underlie development of cancer or oncogenic transformation of cells. See, the word oncogene, right? Oncogene is the gene that is cancerous. Oncology is the doctor that treats cancer. Okay, oncology. So, oncogenic transformation, meaning the cells were normal and then they become cancerous cells. So, that is what oncogenic transformation means. Now, its treatment and control have been some of the most intense areas of research in biology and medicine. Now, normally, in every single person, like all of us, right, we have cell division taking place in our body, right? So, what happens? The number of cells that are synthesized in our body are according to what we need, right? After the amount or the number of cells that we need, they have been synthesized, then the cell division stops, right? And again, there is a property which is present in normal cell, which is known as contact inhibition. This is a property which all the cells have. Meaning, for example, these are the cells. Okay. In our body, the cells are there. Now, new cells are being formed. Now, once these cells come in contact with another cell, like they bump into another cell. Okay. One cell is here. The new cell that is being formed, it was being made, and then it got contact. So, as soon as it gets in contact, the division or the growth of the cell will stop. Meaning, okay, they'll understand, okay, the space is full. Just like how if you enter into a lift, after three people are into a lift, you'll enter it. Like if it is a shorter, small lift, so you'll enter it and then you'll be like, okay, it's too jam packed. Then you come out, isn't it? That's what you do. I hope that you don't push people around. So the same thing, our cells, they don't push our cells around, right? They have the property called as contact inhibition. So by the virtue of this particular contact inhibition, uh, the cells which come in contact with other cell, it inhibits their uncontrolled growth. So no more growth happens. But if our cell, because of some mutation, because of UV exposure, or because of the any kind of gene that got crazy in our body, this contact inhibition property gets lost. So now the cells that do not have contact inhibition, they are known as cancerous cells, meaning they'll divide and divide. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the lift has 10 people, I'll get inside. That is the case. Okay. So it will divide and divide, and just imagine our body will have much more number of cells than it requires. Now, so as a result of this particular uncontrolled division, tumors are made. Now, have you people heard about tumor? What is a tumor? What is a tumor? Like, you can say in rough language, it's okay. I'll tell you what it is, but what you know about it? Nothing. You know nothing about tumors.
Nothing.
See, when the cells they start to divide, okay, they divide a lot and they have not stopped dividing, right? So they start getting collected in one place. Imagine there is like a small space for the cells to come in. Okay, let's just say this much space, and this whole entire space is filled up with cells, and more cells are still being formed there. So it starts getting collected together in a mass of cells. It becomes a mass of cells, and a mass of cell is called as tumor. Many a times, if a person has, like, there are different kinds, so you can see it also. If it is like external tumor, right, a person has certain lumps in the body or big outgrowths. You might have seen people having big structures on their faces or on their bodies, so that is tumor, right? It is a mass of cell. But tumors are not everything to be scared of, because there are two types of tumors: benign and malignant. You have to remember the words. The tumors, they are of two types: benign tumors and malignant tumors. Now, see, benign tumors are those tumors that after they have been formed, they stay in one place and they do not spread. So, if a person has a tumor, he or she goes to the doctor. The doctor will take out the tumor and done. The person is free of the tumor. But the second kind, which is the worst kind, that is malignant tumor. Once the tumor has been made, it starts spreading to the whole entire body, and it will spread to the whole entire body. That is why, when if you watch any doctor related shows like Grey's Anatomy, how many of you watch Grey's Anatomy? See, so what, like, you might have seen that when they open up the patient, they see that the tumor has been spread much more than they anticipated, right? It's around the organs and everything. So, malignant tumor, these are the tumors that have this property, like, once it will go to the cell, it will make it cancerous. Now, this cell will become cancerous and go to the next cell and make it cancerous. So, it spreads throughout the body. So these are the mass of proliferating cells called as neoplastic or tumor cells. They grow very rapidly, invading and damaging the surrounding normal tissues. So they make the normal tissues into the cancerous tissues as well. So as these cells actively divide and grow, they also starve the normal cells. Meaning, you can imagine our body is doing enough to give energy to the whole entire cells that are in their body, right? In our body. But if, like, let's just say, as an example, if 20,000 cells are there in the body, and our body is doing enough to feed those cells, to give them energy and everything. Now, instead of 20,000, our body has 50,000. Now, do you think that the normal cells will ever get their nutrition? No, competition will be there, isn't it? So that is what happens. Now, the malignant tumor, this property of them spreading everywhere is known as metastasis. It is the most feared property of malignant tumor, meaning it will spread. The spreading of the tumor is known as metastasis. It is a property, and it is found only in malignant tumor, not in benign. Benign tumors can be cut, extracted surgically, and it will never come back. But malignant tumors, even after you have extracted every single tumor from the body, there may be one cell may be left, and then that one cell will again start doing the whole entire thing. So cancer is, that is why it is a very you can say, gruesome disease. Okay, so the cancer, the way it develops and everything is clear to you all. Now we're going to quickly see the causes of cancer. See, the transformation of normal cells into cancerous neoplastic cells may be induced by physical, chemical, or biological agents. And any agent which cause the cancer is known as carcinogen. Have you heard this word before? Carcinogen. You might have heard that. I don't know if it is there in your place, but you might have heard a news that in India a while ago, there was like there is this particular brand of spices, right? It's red chili and turmeric and all of that. So it was that a news came that out of its haldi powder, that is turmeric, uh, they had some kind of carcinogenic property, because of which it was discontinued by many people, because turmeric is used by everyone in India in their like food, right? Everywhere. So imagine now a person has this. Now, this is how chemically the carcinogenic property is coming into a body, right? There are many food items that may be carcinogenic. Then, physically, everyone has heard about UV rays and its harmful properties. How many of you wear sunscreen? You do, yeah? Sometimes you must wear it all the time. See, the sun rays are very harmful, especially the UVB rays. Hmm? What they do is that they cause mutation in our body. UV rays are harmful, right? You people know that. Only visible rays are good. So the UV rays, as soon as they come in contact with the cell, they start causing mutation. And mutation means the DNA gets altered, because of which a person can even have skin cancer because of it, right? A person can have multiple skin diseases. So that is why SPF or sunscreen, sunblock is very important. Now, biological agents can also be there. Like there are some genes that are cancer genes. So a person can have that also. Now, ionizing radiations like X rays, gamma rays, and non ionizing radiations like UV rays, they cause DNA damage, leading to neoplastic transformation. Neoplastic transformation means normal cell turning into cancerous cells. And the chemical carcinogens present in tobacco, yeah, smoking, right? Smoking is injurious to health. People might have seen that ad. So it has tobacco. Tobacco is carcinogenic, meaning it will cause cancer, various kinds of cancer. So mostly lung cancer, mouth cancer, all of these things are there. Now, cancer causing viruses called as oncogenic viruses have genes called viral oncogenes. So these viruses can also cause cancer. It is few, but it is there. Furthermore, several genes called as cellular oncogenes or proto-oncogenes have been identified in normal cells, which, when activated under certain conditions, could lead to oncogenic transformation of the cell. You might have heard that a person who has never had like any alcohol, or never had smoked, or never had tobacco, or never went under like without SPF or anything, he took all the precautions, stayed away from all the things, bad things and everything, but still he got cancer, he or she, anyone, hypothetically. So even after all of these things, the person has some kind of a cancer. Now, this may be because the cellular oncogenes, cellular, you understand, anything that is related to the cell, right? Oncogenes is the cancer gene. So maybe those genes, like all of us are born with those genes, right? They are present in normal cells, but they are not activated. Maybe the person had something or went under like somewhere, and the mutation of that gene happened, and since because of that the genes turned into oncogenes, so the person has a cancer now. So there can be many reasons. No one understands how cancer happens. No one understands this. The cause of cancer is unknown. It's literally unknown, and it is a very, again, very serious and a weird disease. No one has understand how it works, and it's very tricky, right? So up until now, do you people have any doubts in the causes of cancer, what cancer is, what is tumor, the types of tumors, and AIDS? Any doubts? All
No,
right,
ma'am.
so very good. So we'll keep it till here since the time is over. And in the next class, we'll talk about how cancer is detected, how AIDS is detected, students. What is the technique called as? It is like a name of a girl. Eliza. Eliza. Enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. So we'll continue the rest of it tomorrow. And after this is done, we're going to talk about drugs and alcohol abuse, what are the various kinds of drugs that are available and everything about that. Hopefully in the next class, we'll complete this chapter. Hopefully, because I have to start a new chapter with you all. So any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
All right.
No.
Okay, students.